Okay, first question I have, how many of you have seen the movie Before Sunset and Before Sunrise? Okay, so my story is going to follow a similar pattern to those movies. And my story is not also set here in St. Louis, it's set in St. Petersburg, Russia. I'm new to St. Louis, I've only been here a little while, we're still friends, we're in that courtship phase. We might get there to the fact of St. Louis. So, my junior year of college, my junior year of high school, back in 2001, my school went on a trip to St. Petersburg as an exchange program. So 10 students came to Boston, I'm from Boston too, so 10 students came to Boston, stayed with us for a month, and then 10 students went to Russia. I was one of the 10 that hosted a student, and then I went there and I stayed with my host student there. The girl who is the subject of the story went to school with my host. She was a grade lower than my host was, but at that time when I came to visit him, he was in his exams because he was graduating from the school, so I was told to go hang out with the grade lower, and I met Maria. Masha. Brady Bunch reference, anybody? So every day we would meet at the school. My host home was about 2 miles away from the school where he went. So we would walk to school in the morning, we'd meet up with the group, we'd go around the city, we'd see all the museums, the Hermitage, the St. Basil's Cathedral, the Winter Palace, the Nevsky Square, Nevsky Prospect, all that kind of stuff, and then we'd go back to the school, meet up with our host, and go home and have dinner. That was 9 people's plans out of the 10. My plan, and my sort of how my 4 weeks went was, I would go out with my group, go see the sights, go do everything, come back to the school, and meet up with Maria. And Maria and I would go around the city to some of the same sites that we went to with my group. Or we would go find, she had the knowledge of the city. She knew all the underground museums where things like in the Soviet era used to happen that you'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with this city? For example, there is a museum in Russia, and she had a strange fascination with this. There is a museum in Russia that is sort of an underground basement of an old rundown KGB building where I think it was Rasputin, but he had all these babies, deformed babies, preserved in jars all over the walls. This was our first official date, Maria. Why on earth am I on a first date with a girl in Russia with a bunch of deformed babies? I don't know. She was telling me that she was interested in, this was the reason why, is because she was going to a medical school, and so she was interested in all things medical, normal medicine, strange medicine, occult medicine, everything like that. But the basic of the first trip was, and we were still in this like friendship, like kind of like exploring each other kind of stage, was going around the city. She showed me about 85% more of the city than I saw when I was there for, going with the group, which was really nice. And so the day I left, and at this time I was also really into writing, so I wrote a lot of stories, poetry and songs and things like that. I played a little bit of guitar, so I wrote a lot in my journal, and I had written her something, and all of my group mates were telling me that I was crazy to have written something for this girl that I just met, and that I shouldn't give it to her. It was a song, so I shouldn't give her the song, or I shouldn't play it for her. I kind of ignored their advice. I did it anyway. And she loved it. I had my first kiss the day I left with Maria. We were on the bus. We were sitting in the back as I was leaving. And like Before Sunset, they sort of decided they were going to meet in the next year in the same city and rekindle their romance and everything like that. I wasn't able to go the next year. It took me about 4 years later. So my junior year of, but we stayed in touch at that time. AOL was still big, and AIM, and all that kind of stuff. So we would stay in touch through phone, through email, through AIM. I went back my junior year of college through a program at college, which was art and architecture, international studies cross-breed class. So I went back, and we continued our escapades of the city. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. One night, we went to this club called the Red Club. Red was former for communist, and it was a former communist club. Again, that was a big fad, and there was going to these old communist bars and hangouts and things, and they had converted them into clubs. So we were sitting there, and we're not quite dancing, we're not quite at that stage, we hadn't had anything to drink yet, we're watching everyone else make a fool of themselves. Actually, this room kind of looks a lot like that room. Especially with the big disco ball there. So we're sitting probably over in that couch area where I was sitting before, and we're sitting there, and at one point I'm like, all right, we are just bored out of our mind, and Maria says, let's just do this. And I'm like, do what? We proceed to make out. Now, I had my eyes closed, and I swear, this has never happened to me. I don't know, you hear about it in movies, you hear about it in TV and novels and everything, that when you kiss somebody sometimes you feel like you see fireworks or you're on a roller coaster or whatever. So as I'm kissing her, I'm seeing these flashing lights. And I'm like, okay, this feels really real, and my heart's racing, all that kind of is happening. And I'm really starting to feel like this is really happening, like I'm really seeing fireworks. My God, what's going on with me? I was like, I am living like I'm in a movie. I opened up my eyes because the disco ball actually fell on top of somebody. And I can see, as I open my eyes, there's somebody over here who, it was only about a 3-foot fall between the floor. I'd say the ceiling was about up to here where we all were, so it wasn't really that high off. But there are photographers all over the place, like snapping photos of everybody there. So that was the flashing lights that I actually saw. That detail I usually leave out when I tell other people this story, because I like to tell people the whole fireworks and roller coaster thing. So yeah, and then a couple of days later, Maria tells me, I was in St. Petersburg for 2 weeks, and then we were in Moscow for 2 weeks. And that was, when I got to Moscow, Maria calls me at the hotel that I'm at. She says, you need to go to a computer immediately. And I say, okay. She tells me the website. It's the Red Club website. There is a photo, front and center on the webpage, of Maria and I. Well, there's people dancing, and then you can sort of see us over here making out. And her parents had seen it. So I could hear her parents yelling in the background. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say about that. So I left Moscow, and then we had talked about, I was going to go that summer to visit her. We were going to be up in Europe, but that never happened. And then I decided that I was going to go the winter break of my senior year of college to go and visit her and stay with her and her family and meet her and everything. And again, just to sort of exploring the city and like going to all her favorite underground places and things like that. And I had never met anyone so twisted in my life. We found a dungeon type place that people used to go to, and like the chains were still on the wall where they would lock each other in and do whatever they wanted to do. Actually, the clinic where she was doing her internship to become a dentist was right next door to this building. So she would just go in there sometimes and watch things, and I don't know what was wrong with this girl, but she is actually, so I had always imagined that if I was going to live anywhere in the world, it would have been that, it would have been with her. But you know, like all long-distance relationships, they kind of, you know, they get hard after that. Like after we really had one really good conversation, we were like, "Is this really gonna last?" We were really into each other, but it just didn't kind of work out. But we did have this. Oh, so right before, so we had a nice month together. We were living together. It was really cold, so whenever we would run around, go see everything, come back to her place and hang out and have all these really long conversations. And I still talk to her on Skype now and everything. But before I left this last third time, she actually got the disco ball from the Red Club, and she wanted to give it to me to bring home, but I couldn't quite fit it in my suitcase. So she mailed it to me. She said, "I will mail you the disco ball," and it was slightly cracked from the place where it fell and hit the guy in the head. But I still have it. I think it's in my attic still at my parents' house. But that is my City of Love story. I can't talk anymore. I'm gonna freak out.